What is your vibrato like? How does your vibrato sound? Do you have a vibrato? What kind of vibrato is it? Oh, these are all questions that come up when we start to sing. Maybe you have no vibrato. Maybe you have a very straight sound. Let's look at a vibrato, what a vibrato really is. And is it possible to change a vibrato or to get it moving or to calm it down? Let's find out, shall we? Let's start. We notice that when we sing, there's a very natural occurrence that happens in the sound, and it doesn't seem to happen for everyone, but it happens for a lot of people when they start singing, is a pulse starts to occur in the sound. And that pulse we call vibrato. It's not just a straight sound. It has little pulses in it. Listen to this. We call this the little pulses in there, little waves, little puffs of energy and sound. And we call that vibrato. And some people seem to have no vibrato in their voices. Other people seem to have way too much or just a lot of vibrato. What is vibrato? Well, the first thing I think we can say about it is this. When we analyze vibrato in the laboratory, we see there's two different amplitudes taking place. The first amplitude is in the intonation, where we notice that the pitch of the sound is actually changing. It's going up and down, up and down. Okay, that's one aspect of it. So there's one amplitude happening, one variation that's happening, and it's an important part of it. And then there's another part of it that's happening, and that is a kind of energy pulse. And that's the part, the first one is here, that happens in the larynx, the intonation shifts, the slight intonation shifts. But the part that comes from the body, that's the diaphragm, the under part here with the abdominal muscles, the intercostal muscles here on the side, that's helping to push the air back out of the body through the through the vocal cords. And there's a pulse there as well. And that's the part that's giving little energy puffs. And they're like this. And that's also an amplitude. That's more of a horizontal amplitude. Just like the intonation, the changing of the tone is more of a vertical amplitude. And both of these in a more or less healthy vibrato are going on both at the same time. So we're not just having a straight sound, but we're having So we find that with singing, that the finer the coordination that we use when we sing, the more of the vibrato of this sort of rhythm of life pulsation, you might want to call it, starts to appear. I once had a conversation with a singing teacher in Munich, I remember, and he said to me, well, how do you work with vibrato? How do you get vibrato going? And I said, well, I don't. With my students, I don't. I said, we just start singing. And the more we sing and the better the coordination gets, the vibrato just starts to come of itself. I don't have to do that. And he looked at me and he said, exactly. Okay, so one of the things that we notice about vibrato is it's very, very conspicuous in a voice. And if the vibrato seems to be a very sort of comfortable, easy, flowing vibrato, it's something that is very, very attractive in a voice. But often vibrato can be a little bit off. It can be, the amplitude can be too wide, or maybe it's way too fast. And then people notice it immediately about a voice. And so there's this really strong wish, desire for us singers, we want to control that vibrato. We want to get that thing under our control so that it's not too much or too little or whatever. And here's a secret about vibrato. Even though we can sometimes control a little bit of the vibrato directly, there's a lot of the vibrato that we cannot control directly. Vibrato is basically, and that's ganz important, is basically a consequence of something else. And that's why it's very hard to work with vibrato directly. We have to go back and look at the basic balance going on in the voice. Vibrato is basically a consequence and a kind of mirror of that balance. What balance are we talking about? Well, the balance between the upper register and the lower, the head voice, the chest voice, we've talked about that here before, but also the balance between the energy and the opening in the voice. That also has to be just about right for the vibrato to settle. But when the balance between the energy and in the body and the opening in the voice is about right, and when the balance between the the head voice and chest voice is about right, then the vibrato tends to find a place kind of right in the middle where it flows quite nicely. If it's too much here, it's not in balance, and it does this. Or if it's over here, it does this. If you get it right in the middle, then you have a balance, and then the vibrato tends to be very, very smooth and a very, very regular kind of pulsation. And it's one of those things that makes singing really easy and beautiful to listen to. So think of vibrato as something is a consequence of some other aspect of the inner balance when you sing, okay? So that's an important part of it. Now, what kinds of vibratos do we have to deal with here? Let's take this. There's a sort of a famous, what we might call almost a machine gun vibrato, or sometimes we call it a goat's bleat vibrato. None of those are particularly attractive names, are they? But that's a vibrato that for most people is too fast, and it's too staccato. It's so ha, and that's not as fast as it normally is, but I mean, it's much faster than that even. And that's a vibrato that we know is because the psychology of the person, that the person is under too much pressure. And a lot of the pressure that he's under, it may be from outside, but usually a lot of it is self-induced pressures. Pressure that as a child or in the childhood and teenage years somehow was taken over, adopted, and they are under a kind of constant pressure as people in their lives. They're always feeling a kind of pressure and always maybe they have to reach a certain standard. They have to fulfill a certain sort of standard. They have to reach a certain goal. They're responsible for maybe too much. They have all kinds of these issues where they feel that they have to perform. You know, they have to make it happen. It's all on their shoulders maybe. These are just some of the typical issues we see with people that have a too fast vibrato. Basically, it's too much tension. They're under too much tension and under too much pressure in their lives. And one of the things we try to do is to relax that space around the voice so that there's a better balance, particularly here, energy from the body and the opening in the voice we want it to be full and flowing and free, but if it gets too much or too pushed or under too much pressure, the vibrato just really takes off and gets way too fast and way too rigid. So that's one aspect. We also notice that sometimes the vibrato, it's an amazing sort of thing. It's really, really fast. Sometimes when people are young, okay, young adults, when they're coming out of puberty and into young adulthood, that the vibrato can be quite fast, this rat-a-tat-tat-tat sort of vibrato. And we think, oh, that's very fast. And it is fast, but what we don't hear, because it is so fast, is that the intonation amplitude is way out of whack. It's way too much. this way. Ah, 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 ah. But it's so fast that we don't catch it. It doesn't sound like the amplitude is so far. But here's something, a phenomenon that we notice over and over and over again with professional singers, is that if they start off with this sort of goat's bleat vibrato, and they become professional singers, there comes a point very often in their career where suddenly the body just says, no more. It's just too much. The muscles are under this constant state of too much tension. And at a point, and it's sometimes very suddenly, they just give out. They just give up and give out. And then it's amazing. It's so weird, this phenomenon. They're in the middle of a career, they're, let's say, middle 30s, maybe they're 40, maybe it's 30. And they've been doing this, and then suddenly the body just says, I give up, and collapses inwardly. And then just overnight, this way too fast vibrato transforms itself into a vibrato that's way too slow. And then we really hear that this extreme amplitude in the intonation was there the whole time, but it was so fast we didn't notice it. And what do we hear now? We had this before, and I'm not demonstrating that near as well as it should be, by the way. But then it goes to what, traditional sort of wobble. And then usually the career is over almost overnight. I mean, it's kind of a tragedy if that singer didn't find a way in the early part of their career to kind of open that sound and relax some of that tension. I mean, we want a lot of energy when we sing with a big open sound. We want a place for all of our temperament and all the feelings that go with it, and just the powerfulness of big open sounds. We want all of that, but just to be aware that it's easy to do too much. It's easy to give too much, to put yourself into too much pressure. And if you haven't found a way to relax that and to open that up a little bit, at a point, the experience shows it sometimes it has a very, very short lifetime, and it just collapses almost overnight. It's an amazing thing. So these are two aspects. What we could also say about the wobble of itself, sometimes it's a wobble from the very beginning of a vibrato that we recognize as just too slow, and not only too slow, but way too wide. I heard a singer once, a wonderful singer on stage in Bayreuth many, many years ago. And an amazing singer, an amazing voice, and also an amazing woman of the stage, fabulous actress. She had it all. And I happened to hear her, though, in the middle of a severe vocal crisis. But as a professional singer, you still have contracts, and so they have to be fulfilled. And so I was hearing her in Bayreuth, of all places. We listened to that vibrato, and her vibrato was just in kind of an emergency. And it was, we were listening and analyzing it, and her vibrato was going the space, the interval of a complete fifth. When she would sing notes. It was once again kind of a tragedy. You just felt for her as an audience member what she was obviously going through, what she must have been going through as a singer, but also as a listener, just thinking, my God, you want a singer to sing the note, and not 5 or 6 different notes, in one note. But this is what happens when something gets, the muscles just can't take it anymore. There's that one other aspect we'll talk about here, is that sometimes the muscles from the very beginning are not tense enough. How about that? The muscles are not tense enough. They're not giving enough. It's almost kind of a it has something almost kind of lifeless about it. It's relaxed, good. It's laid back, good, but so laid back that the vibrato suffers from it. Ah, you know, maybe you want a very sort of limpid ah, but you might not necessarily want ah. But sometimes singers, sometimes even singers with really, really good instruments, they don't know yet how to give enough. And so they're sitting there and they think they're giving enough, and it's not enough. The sound is sometimes very open. Sometimes these people have wonderful voices, they have a wonderful open instinct, but they don't quite know how to meet that opening with enough energy yet. And so the voice tends to be very labial, very, very, almost too relaxed, and not enough tension. It's amazing when we get into singing. There's so many cliches about singing. For example, we say, you know, with singing, we want to relax and we don't want to be under tension and everything. Well, we need tension to sing. You know, the vocal cords are basically muscles, and they need to be tensed in order to have enough tensile strength there to hold against the air pressure from the lungs. That's how sound is created. There's pressure from below, and it's going against pressure here, tension in the vocal cords to actually form the notes. So we want pressure, we want tension. The question is, what kind of tension? We want a very flexible tension. We don't want a tension that's too rigid. We want tension, what we call as dynamic tension in the voice, where there's a very flexible tension. And that is really beautiful for singing. It's very helpful for us singers, is a dynamic tension. So when we sing, we're looking for balance. And we, in life, also as people, not just as singers, we're looking for balance. We're always looking for balance. Sometimes something that's really, really good, we can do too much of. Yeah. And something that's really, really bad, we can maybe do too much of too. But doing something, for example, that's really, really good, but doing too much of it brings us out of balance just as anything else does. So we want to always make sure that they have the bigger picture in mind. And one of the ways that the voice helps us to find out what's really going on inside of us, what really is happening in our inner sense of self-regulation, self-balance. For example, what's going on with the yin and the yang, the feminine energy in us, what's going on with the masculine energy of us, what's going on, you know, the opening in us, what's going on in the goal-centered giving of life, the liveliness that we want to be alive and to live and to be dynamic and productive. All of these things are important, and they all need a balance. And the voice, once again, this unbelievable, precise mirror of the soul, this barometer of what's going on in my inner life, shows me very, very clearly if I'm in balance or not. And the main barometer, the main tell of that barometer, if I'm in balance or not, is in the vibrato. So if you're looking at your vibrato and you're hearing something that you think is not quite the ideal, don't look at that, but use that as information and go back then to your inner world and find out what in your inner world, in your sound, that you can bring a little bit more precisely into balance. The vibrato, barometer of the soul.